My name is Leonard Thomas. I've been selling homes for over 33 years, and I've been training real estate agents for almost that long. And I've probably helped close to 1,500 families in my 33 years buy, sell, lease, and invest in real estate. And I started doing social media videos about probably just 6 or 7 weeks ago. And my channel is a little different. And I'm not out there trying to actually make videos looking for buyers or sellers. I am trying to help other agents with their business. So if you're in real estate and you're watching today, please just ask the question in the comments and I'll try to answer it. What do you recommend for a new agent to do? Oh, fantastic. I'm a week old in real estate. I have Rodrigo, that's actually fantastic. What market are you in, Rodrigo? Midland, Odessa. So we're neighbors. I'm over here in Dallas. So, three things that I think are super important when you first get in the video and when you first get into real estate. And I've done videos on this. If you're not a follower, Rodrigo, I hope you'll take a look, maybe follow my channel and take a look at some of the videos. And I have some longer form videos on YouTube if you're interested. But three things that I think are super important, Rodrigo. First of all, I think the absolute best way for a new agent to come into contact with home buyers and home sellers is open houses. Now, Midland, Odessa is obviously not Dallas sized or Austin size, but it's not super small. You have a bunch of subdivisions out there. So, just hold open houses, try to meet home buyers, try to meet home sellers. I have a lot of videos on open houses. I love open houses. Good morning, Melissa and TMR. So I think one of the most important things as a new agent, even a seasoned agent, one of the best ways to meet home buyers and home sellers is to do open houses. Second thing that's going to be really important, Rodrigo, is you just got in the business a week ago, and so you've had 7 days in the business where you don't have a boss, you don't have hours, you don't have accountability, you don't have things that you have to do. Every morning you can wake up and decide, I'm going to go into the office, or I'm going to go prepare for an open house, or I'm going to contact Sphere of Influence, or I'm going to go try to learn real estate, or you can decide I'm going to hang out with friends, or I'm going to go golfing or go see a movie. So I really want you to focus on treating real estate as a career, because if you treat real estate like a hobby, you're going to end up getting paid like it's a hobby. So you really need to pretend like you are your own boss, and you have to have set hours. You have to time block the important processes in real estate. So that's two. The third thing that I try to tell all new agents, and honestly, again, any agent, regardless of how long they've been in the business, good morning, Betty, is this. You just got your license, which means you spent however many weeks or months cramming for this real estate exam that probably 80% of what you memorized to pass the test, good morning, Nicholas, has absolutely nothing to do with helping home buyers and home sellers buy and sell homes, at least in my 33-year experience. So what I don't want you to do is, now that you've gotten your license, I don't want you to stop learning. And I know that sounds cliche, hear me out. Because 80% of what you learn to get your real estate exam, in my opinion, is not practical. You're not going to use it. It doesn't matter how many acres in a hectare. It doesn't matter how many sections in a township. What does matter is how well you can explain a listing agreement to a home seller. What does matter is how well you can explain earnest money contract to a home buyer or a home seller. What does matter is the value that you can create for home buyers, home sellers, investors, or people that may want to lease. So three important things that I would definitely focus on as a new agent. One, open houses. Do as many as you can. When I first got in the business 33 and a half years ago, I was your age. I can't tell from the little thumbnail, your picture, how old you are. But I was 21 years old, and I did open houses every Saturday, every Sunday. And I kid you not, no exaggeration, I did two. I would often do two in a day. I'd do 10 to 1, and then I'd go pick up the signs, go put them down, and do 2 to 5. So open houses, number one. Number two, be your own boss, set time, schedule things, have a game plan, have a system of accountability, whether with your broker, your manager, your team lead, your spouse, your whatever, but have a system of accountability. Be your boss. Keep track of your mileage. Keep track of your expenses. And then number three, don't stop learning, okay? You memorized a bunch of crap to get your license, and I'm sorry to call it crap, but 80, maybe 90% of it is crap. But now go learn the important stuff. Learn how to talk to buyers about the earnest money contract, the listing agreement, learn about an inspection, learn what makes an HVAC, an air conditioning unit, learn about the different different foundations. I imagine out in Midland, Odessa, like here in Dallas, you have pier and beam, you have slab foundations. Do you know the difference? If you don't know the difference, go figure out the difference. And again, I don't want you to be your buyer's or your client's inspector, but I want you to have a good knowledge about everything that's going to happen. Go learn about title policies. You've been in the business a week, you just got your license, but it would probably be difficult for you to explain a title policy to a home buyer or a home seller. So you want to go get with a title company rep, meet with a lender, go learn everything there is to know, not so that you can literally do it, although awesome if you can, but learn everything you can as quickly as possible, because here's what you're going to find, and here's what I found in 33 plus years of doing this. There are agents that have been in the business over 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, but they still only make $30,000 a year or $40,000 a year or $50,000 a year. And that's because a lot of agents just repeat the first year over and over again, and they don't grow and they don't learn. You're going to find that a lot of realtors, the only education that they get once they've gotten their license is either the mandatory continuing education, or when a title company or a home builder hosts a foundation company or a roofer company, and they're giving away a free lunch. So if you want to be successful and successful quickly in real estate, in my experience, in my opinion, open houses, be your own boss, and don't quit learning. I have a work phone. Do you recommend me to reach out to those contacts now or after my 2 weeks? Good morning, Nikki. Rodrigo, I don't 100% understand the question. Ask me a different way, please. Oh, got it. Okay, so Rodrigo, are you going to switch from, okay, you're fixing to put in your 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, I would do it from your personal phone for sure, because in 2 weeks, you're going to give that work phone back over to your employer, I imagine. So definitely start making those sphere of influence phone calls from your personal phone. I don't mind if you have questions, Rodrigo. Please feel free to ask the questions. Have you already joined a brokerage in Midland, Odessa, or are you yet to choose? Well, I guess you needed a sponsoring broker to get your license. Excellent. Okay, so do they have training there at that office? Do you have a mentor? Are you part of a team? Good morning, Xana Lee. Oh, okay, fantastic. So a lot of companies do this. They have, that's fantastic. So they have a 1 week or a 2 week sort of boot camp where they just sort of fast feed you a whole bunch of information. Good morning, Woody. And then they just sort of let you do your thing. So definitely try to talk with your broker manager about ongoing training and not just, the boot camp that they generally have at the beginning. But if you have someone wanting to sell right now, I imagine you can get with your broker manager immediately and start working with that. I would definitely feel lost the moment I got in. So funny story about when I first got in the business. I hadn't been in the business probably 3 weeks, and I was holding an open house, and I got there probably an hour early, and I had so many signs up, and I was probably in the house 30 minutes before the open house started. And these two gals walked into the open house, and I wasn't even ready. I didn't even think to lock the front door or something, but they walked in, they walked around the house, and they wanted to buy it. And Rodrigo, sort of like you, I'd been in the business literally 2 or 3 weeks, and I didn't even know I didn't even have a contract because I never knew. Good morning, Nancy. I didn't know you could sell a house during the open house when I'd only been in the business 2 years. And again, this is back in 1992. So I didn't know what to do. They're like, we want to make an offer. So I get out my mobile phone, which at the time was a Motorola. It was about this big. And, I'm calling my broker. I'm like, oh crap. Someone walked in my open house. The open house hasn't even started. Of course, the seller expects me to hold an open house, but the seller wants me to hold an open house because they want me to sell the open house. And I have two gals here that want to buy the house. And so I call my broker. What am I supposed to do? It's a Sunday, right? He said, just lock the front door, put the sign in the front yard on the ground, and get to the office. I'll meet you there. So I literally locked the door. All the lights are still on. I'm driving to the office. These two gals are following me to the office because I couldn't fill out a contract if my life depended on it. Get to the office. We wrote the offer, and they bought the house. It was I wasn't my first open house, but I'd only been in the business, again, 2 or 3 weeks. So that is my crazy open house story. You definitely want to know how to fill out the contract before you get to that open house. So definitely get together with your broker manager and make sure you have that covered, or make sure you know how to get a hold of him or her if you ever get stuck and you have someone that wants to buy a house. You want to make sure you know how to fill out that contract. You don't want to get into any legal trouble, of course. That's a good question. So first of all, I'm not an accountant, so you're going to learn being in real estate, you're going to say this a lot. I'm not an attorney, can't give you a legal advice. Well, I'm not an accountant, I can't give you CPA advice. But I believe the write-off limit is $25 with your CPA, but that's not going to stop a lot of agents, good morning Seashore, from doing much bigger gifts. And my closing gifts are generally much more than that $25 limit, because it's not about a write-off to me. It's about showing appreciation, creating value, and creating that relationship. And again, I'm not trying to buy anything, but trying to show my appreciation for them, trusting what often is the biggest purchase of their life in me and my services. I would say focus a little less on what the tax deduction is and a little bit more on the relationship you're trying to create with these people. But I love that you've only been in the business a week, Rodrigo, and you're already focusing on closing gifts. You have the goal in mind, help people buy and sell real estate, and that's the best goal to have. One of my clients has an appointment with a lender on Wednesday, so that's absolutely fantastic. Are you going to join your client? Oh, you're still working your 9 to 5. Is it going to be a Zoom appointment? Or are they meeting face-to-face? And is there any way that you can be in that meeting? Because going and learning what any lender does during a buyer appointment like that is super important. Yes, definitely. You want to be a part of that. At least be there via Zoom if you can. If they can wait till you're off work, you want to be a part of that and everything. So what you want to do, Rodrigo, remember I said one of the 3 most important things, that third thing is learn. So what you want to do is almost every day, either on your iPhone, in a note, or in a notebook if you prefer paper and pencil. And this is what I did when I first got in the business, again, 33 years ago. Every single time I did anything in real estate, whether it was knocking on a door, open house, showing a buyer, going on a listing presentation, doing a buyer or seller interview, every single time I did something in real estate, and you better be doing 3 or 4 somethings a day, I would go back to my car. This was obviously before iPhones, and I would open up a spiral and I would write down 3 things. It doesn't matter what the 3 things are. Was there an objection that I couldn't overcome? Did I say something by accident that sounded really good and resonated with the clients? Did I get stuck somewhere? So then I would take those 3 things and I'd go back to my office, and if it was something that I said that sounded good and that resonated, I'd write it on a 3x5 card, and I would keep a stack of 3x5 cards, things that I said that made sense. And if it was an objection that I couldn't overcome, then I'd go figure out how to overcome the objection. If it was you're too young, you haven't been in the business long enough, we've never heard of your real estate company. When I first got into real estate 33 years ago, I worked for a company called Better Homes and Gardens, which you may know, they're a little more popular now in real estate, but 33 years ago, no one had heard of Better Homes and Gardens real estate. They had only heard of Better Homes and Gardens magazine. So, here I was, a 21-year-old kid. One of the things I did when I first got into real estate is we had a lot of for sale by owners here in Dallas, red and white signs friggin' everywhere, and no one would go knock on their door. Most realtors were afraid to knock on doors, and I was too young and dumb to be afraid, so I would knock on doors. And so I got a lot of objections, but every time I would knock on a door and try to talk to them about helping them, Esme, great question. I'm going to get to that in one moment. And every time I would talk with them, and if I would get an objection I couldn't overcome, I'd go back over to, I'd go into my car, I'd write the objection down, I'd go back to my office, I would figure out how to overcome the objection, then I would, go right back out and I'd start knocking on doors again. And then when I would knock on that door and I would get whatever that same objection was, you haven't been in the business long enough, you're too young, I've never heard of Better Homes and Gardens, you try to overcome the objection with how I practice it. And if that worked, all right, well, that's one less objection I have to worry about. If it didn't work, I'd go back to my office and I'd try again. And it's almost like a laboratory, because there's only so many objections you're going to come up against in real estate, and just figure out how to overcome them, figure out how to create value for the clients. So very, very important that you learn from everything that happens. That was a 5-minute diatribe on your meeting with your lender, you're going to go meet with that lender and your client, and your lender's going to say about 500 things you've never heard of before, because we don't need to learn it to get into real estate. He's going to talk about a 1003. He's going to talk about buy down. He's going to talk about floating the rate. All these things, as he's talking or she's talking, I want you to write down each of these terms. And then when the meeting's over that night, instead of watching, binge watching the 5th season of You on Netflix, I want you to get on Google or talk to your broker manager. I'm not trying to steer you away from your broker manager, and learn each of those things. What's a 1003? Google, what is a 1003? What is a buy down? And I want you to, I need to write it down to learn something. So I'm going to write down 3x5 cards. I'm big on I'm big on note cards, because that's how I learn things. I'm visual like that. What's a 1003 on the other side? The definition. What's a buy down? Buy down on one side, write down the definition, and study that. And you'll find when you go, you said you had 2 buyers. When you meet with the lender and your second buyer the next time, you're not going to get caught off guard with as many of the terms, and you've only been in the business a week, and you're going to know more about the loan process, I promise you, than a lot of the agents in your office that have been doing this for years. So learn. That's why I want you to get in that meeting with your buyer and the lender. How do you market your open house as a new agent? Esme, what market are you in? Esme, there are 3 really important things, in my opinion, to have a successful open house. And I have a bunch of videos on it. If you haven't followed the channel, please do. And look at all the open house videos I have. But 3 important things, Esme. The first 2 are going to sound very commonsensical, but you'll be shocked how many people don't follow this when they're doing an open house. Number 1, the number of signs you put up. Most realtors will have an open house and they're only going to put up 3 or 4 or 5 signs. When I hold an open house, I'm putting up 10 to 12 signs, and there have been many times where I've put 15 to 20 plus signs. The long and short of it is, the more signs you put up, the better the chance more people are going to show up to your open house. Number 2, again, starting with the common sense, but it's not so common when you go out there and you look at how most realtors hold their open houses. So number 2 is how long the open house is. Esme, if you get on your multiple listing service right now and you pull up all the open houses today in Midland, Odessa, I am going to guess that 90% of those open houses are either 12 to 2, 1 to 3, 2 to 4, or 3 to 5. And what do you notice about those 4 options? They're all 2 hours long. When I first got into real estate, I did at least an open house on Saturday and at least an open house on Sunday. My open houses were at least 4 hours, sometimes 5 or 6 hours. Obviously, if it's an occupied listing and the home sellers don't want to be gone for that long, I understand, which is why I would try to find vacant listings as much as possible, because again, it's sort of like the signs. The longer you're at that open house, not only is it the better the chances you're going to run into someone who's looking for that home and you may sell that home, but the better the chance you're going to run into home buyers and home sellers that may need your services. So 1, more signs, lots more signs. 2, more hours, lots more hours. And 3, this is going to be a little more complicated. This is how you have a successful open house. And again, there's a couple of videos on it if you follow my channel and you don't catch everything I'm about to say. So here's this. If you're holding an open house in Midland, Odessa, and let's say you're holding a $400,000 house open, you might get, let's say, 15 groups of people through your open house. But the chances that all 15 groups of people that come to your open house are looking for exactly a $400,000 house, give or take, or exactly as many bedrooms or square footage or with or without a pool, whatever the listing is you're holding open, the chances that all 15 groups are looking for exactly that size or price of home is actually very low. There might be 3 or 4 groups out of the 15 that are looking plus or minus $25,000 of your $400,000 listing. So that means that of the 15 groups that are going to come to your open houses, there's going to be 10 or 11 groups that, look, Esme and Rodrigo are meeting. They're both in Midland, Odessa. And for anyone watching that doesn't know, Midland, Odessa, not a humongous set of towns here in Texas, but I'm glad you guys found each other. So because you know 10 or 11 groups coming through your open house are going to be looking for something either smaller and less expensive or bigger and more expensive, this is what I want you to do. I want you to find 2 or 3 houses less expensive than the home you're holding open and 2 or 3 houses more expensive than the home you're holding open. And I want you to go preview those 6 homes so that when you're holding your house open and your $400,000 listing open and someone comes to the open house and says, wow, I really like this area, but I need a lot more square footage, instead of trying to get their name and number and saying, hey, let me do some homework and I'm going to call you back, you can say, wow, right around the corner, 2 streets over at 1400 Winter Park is a home. It has 30 and I'm going to call you back. You can say, wow, right around the corner, 2 streets over at 1400 Winter Park is a home. It has 3,672 square feet. The home sellers have upgraded their kitchen. It has quartz countertops, stainless steel appliances, and they're asking $525,000. In fact, my open house is over at 4 p.m. today. I'm very happy to show it at 4:30 today if you'd like that. So you have a more successful open house by being ready for what's probably going to happen than to do what most realtors do, and that is, just try to get names and numbers of people coming to your open house to then go do homework to try to talk to them later the next day. So, Esme, I hope that helped. Oh, Kate, that is a great question. What market are you in, Kate? Or where roughly are you in? I'm in Texas. Good morning, Tasty Cakes. Central Arkansas. Oh, near and dear to my heart. My daughter went to the University of Arkansas and lives in Centerton right now and works for, I'll give you one guess who she works for, Kate. And my son is going to Arkansas next year. So I'm going to have a whole bunch of Arkansasians, I don't know, people that live in Arkansas. I'm in Dallas and I've been here a long time. Good morning, user. So I'm probably going to have to go buy a home in Arkansas here soon so I can see my grandkids, my daughter, and soon to be my son. But Arkansas, Central Arkansas. So this is what I would tell anyone thinking of getting their real estate license. It is a very difficult job. And by difficult, I mean to do it correctly, or at least the way I've done it, which is, well, let me say the way I've done it. I think there's a couple of, well, there's lots of ways to do real estate, but if I had to categorize real estate agents, there's probably and I'm broad brushing here, there's lots of gray area in between. There's 2 types of realtors. There's the type of realtors where it's really to them a sales job, always be closing, and it's about transactions and numbers. And I think there's another set of realtors where it's about putting the needs of their clients ahead of their own, where it's not about the commission check, it's about building creating a relationship, building a relationship, and then keeping that relationship after closing. And I'm not going to judge which one is better or worse or right or wrong, but mine is about building relationships, keeping relationships, always putting the needs of the buyers and sellers ahead of my own, even if it means I'm not going to, make a commission or have a transaction. So because I'm about building that relationship, I get very involved in all of my transactions. I get very involved in the success of all of those transactions. And so in my 33 years of doing real estate, I am not phenomenal at boundaries. And what I mean by that is if someone has entrusted me with their $2 million listing and they're all anxious or they have a concern at 9:30 at night about how the escrow is going, I'm going to get on the phone at 9:30 at night. I'm going to stop binging the 5th season of You with my wife, and I'm going to go talk with them. And I do this all the time, and I'm not complaining. But so in that sense, it's hard in that the way that I've done it, not a lot of boundaries. I'm on vacations, and you'll talk with realtors and they'll tell you a lot of vacations are working vacations. I've come home from vacations before because there's some mess in a transaction where it's just too hard to fix it from Hawaii or Mexico, and I've come home because I take that probably too seriously. But so in that sense, it's a difficult business. Obviously, the rewards are pretty fantastic. I've helped over almost 1,500 families buy or sell a home, and so you do the math. That's a lot of math. So in that sense, I've been very, very fortunate. So It's a very fulfilling financially and emotionally and relationship-wise business, but it takes a lot of work. And one of the most difficult parts of real estate. Good morning, Quack. Hi, you're back, Quack. Good to see you again. One of the most difficult parts about real estate, especially for new agents, Kate, is that you don't have a boss. You don't have hours. You don't have to come into the office every morning. As a realtor, you can decide whether you're going to go do the difficult things that need to be done to find home buyers and home sellers, buy or sell a home, or you're going to go see a movie, or you're going to go golfing, or you're going to go spend it with family and friends or spouses or significant others. And it's really, really easy in real estate to wake up and say, hey, I don't answer to anyone, I'm going to sleep in, or I'm going to have a fun day. But what you realize in real estate very quickly is that fun day doesn't make you any money. You're not meeting any buyers or sellers that need your services when you have a fun day, and that can add up. Or you're the opposite. You dig a hole a little bit every day. You're not out there doing the things you need to do to be successful in real estate. So that's sort of a 30,000 foot answer to your question. But Kate, if you have a more specific question, please ask. Patty, great question. What market are you in, Patty, roughly? Because I have an answer for you. No, that's an easy question, Rodrigo. It was the family business, Chicagoland. Okay, real estate is an extremely difficult business to do part-time, full-time. And what I mean by that is this. Full-time real estate means helping home buyers and home sellers and investors and tenants, if so needed, do the whole process, finding the home, getting under contract, closing on the home. Or if you're a home seller, finding a home seller that needs your services, getting the listing on the market, getting the listing in escrow, and then closing the escrow. That, in my opinion, is full service. It is hard to be a full service real estate agent part-time, because if you're doing a 9-to-5 job and you have a listing and it's on the market, and you have someone that has written an offer, but there's a deadline to reply to it, and you're in the middle of your 9-to-5 job, but you can't get to it until 5 o'clock or 5:30 or 6 o'clock, you can't service that home seller the way they needs to be serviced. So I don't think you can be a full service realtor part-time, but that doesn't mean you can't make some income being a part-time realtor. And the best way that I know how to make income being a part-time realtor is by being a lead generator for another realtor. So what that would look like is this. Perhaps you work a 9-to-5 job Monday through Friday, but on Saturdays and Sundays, you hold open houses for somebody, for another realtor, and your job during the open house, other than to get that home sold, perhaps is to meet people that come to the open house, to meet potential home buyers, to meet potential home sellers, and you create some value for those people that are coming into the home, and where you create enough value for those people walking into your open house to where they do want to talk to a full service, full-time realtor, and then you give those leads to some agent in your office, and then they pay you for those leads. Either they pay you per lead or they give you a referral fee if that lead turns into a transaction of some sort. So you're sort of being a lead generator for some other realtor. And I know in my market, I'm in Dallas, Texas, there's definitely value if someone was going to go hold my vacant listings open for 20 hours a weekend or 15 or 12 hours a weekend and generate leads. That would be extremely valuable to me. So I think there is a way for you to make money in real estate working part-time, but not as a full service realtor. I hope I answered your question, Patty. If you have any other questions, Patty, please feel free to ask, and I hope you follow the channel. I've been doing videos for about 6 or 7 weeks. Good morning, Justin. And all my videos are, good morning, Michelle. All my videos are designed to help other agents with their business. So certainly hope you'll follow and watch some of those other videos, and let me know if there's anything else I can do to help. Quack, you were on our live yesterday. You have any questions today? Quack, are you holding? Good morning, Ashley. That's right, Quack. You had 6 transactions. Does that mean you're holding an open house today? And if so, tell us about your open house. And how many signs are you putting up? You don't Quack, come on, why don't you do open house? Oh, this weekend you don't do it. All right, so you're off the hook. I was about to get on my soapbox about doing open houses, because if I remember, you're in San Jose, and if you can't have 50 people through an open house in San Jose, California, then there's no reason to hold an open house. You're going to need a lot more capital nowadays than when I first got in the business 33 years ago, because the interest rate is so much higher right now. I don't know how it is in Chicago, in the Dallas area where I am. The market value of properties so skyrocketed during COVID, but the lease values did not skyrocket at the same rate. So right now it's very hard to cash flow for investors, at least with single family residences, unless they're putting 40 or 50% down, because again, that interest rate is so much higher for a non-owner occupant. Good morning, Ryan. And the leases didn't skyrocket as much as the market value. So it's really, really tough in Dallas to cash flow with single family purchases today, unless you're putting 40 or 50% down. And even then, especially because we have so many homes that are in homeowners association areas, and those HOA fees are super high. And you got to be really careful here in Dallas about buying investment properties in an HOA area, because there's this big crackdown on short-term rentals, Airbnbs and VRBOs. And so a lot of homeowners associations, and I'm guessing everywhere, but certainly here in Dallas, they're getting really, really tough on the restrictions on leasing property. A lot of homeowners associations are making it to where not only is there a cap on how many leases there can be in a neighborhood, but a lot of homeowners associations are saying, if you buy a property in our neighborhood, you have to live in it for 1 year, sometimes 2, before you can lease it out. So got to be real careful. I've been outside of this area to widen my... Why do you have to widen your territory? San Jose, there's like 17 million people in San Jose. What are you going to widen it up to the peninsula, San Mateo, San Francisco, Sunnyvale? I think San Jose is more than big enough. Quack, when you do hold an open house in San Jose with, again, 700 million people, I imagine you have 20 or 30 groups of people through your open house. Are they just so busy that the cars are going up and down the street? Good morning, Alan. Yeah, 30 to 40 groups, right? I mean, that's incredible. And Rodrigo, I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to have a little help remembering it here. But Quack, 30 to 40 groups. So that's so when you hold an open house, do you hold it open yourself, knowing you're going to get 30 to 40 groups, or do you bring other agents from your office? How do you? I love hearing that and learning from other agents. I've had 20, 25 groups through before, but if you're going to have 40 groups of people through an open house, how do you handle that many people? Or do you just stand by the door and open it and close it real fast? Because that's amazing. Rodrigo and Quack, well, I hope to get an answer from you. Rodrigo, how does a transaction go? So Rodrigo, is your question? So you're talking about contingencies. Rodrigo, there is a video that I do. I think on the thumbnail, it shows me doing this. So it's in Texas, and you're in Texas, which is great. So there's it's called a contingent offer, right? So the buyer's writing an offer, wants to buy a home, and it's contingent on their home selling. So it depends on, there's different levels of contingency. So I always do it this when I'm explaining it to a home buyer or home seller. And this is what this means. From the most amount of risk to the seller to the least amount of risk. So if your home buyer is writing an offer on a listing, and their home that they have to sell is not on the market yet, that is the worst contingency offer you can make. Because that's the most amount of risk to the seller, because the most amount of things have to happen for that seller to actually sell their home. So the most risky to the seller and the worst contingency offer you can make, and again, at least here in Texas, is buyer's home is not on the market. The next level is buyer's home is on the market, but it's not under contract yet. So if you have a listing and it's on the market and it's not under contract yet, but your seller is making an offer on another property contingent on the house selling, yours would be the second worst contingency which means the second most risk to that other seller you're making the offer on. I hope it's making sense. So the most risk is house is not on the market. Next most risk is your client, your buyer, whose home you're selling, your buyer, their house is on the market, not under contract. House is on the market, under contract, but you're still in the option period. If there's anyone watching in real estate and you're not in Texas, our option period might be like your inspection period or your due diligence period. In Texas, it's a negotiable time frame. It's usually 7 or 8 days. So, your house is not on the market. Your house is on the market, not under contract. Your house is on the market, under contract, but you're still in the option period. Your home is on the market, under contract. You're through the option period, but you have not yet appraised. We still have appraisal issues here in Texas. Your home is on the market. It's under contract. You're through the inspection period. The home is appraised, but the buyer is not approved yet. That's sort of the last contingency. And then right there, the home is on the market. It's under contract. You're through the inspection period. The home is appraised. The buyer has been approved, and you're just waiting for the loan to close, the home to close. So those are sort of the 6 levels of contingency, at least here in Texas. And if you're making an offer for someone and it's contingent on their house selling, understand this, because you need to explain this to your home buyer. If you're down here, the house isn't on the market yet, and you're making an offer on another home, in my experience, your home buyer is going to pay so much more for the home because this is the most amount of risk to the other home seller. The riskier your offer is to that other home seller, the more money that home seller is going to expect from your home buyer. So first of all, here in Texas, or at least my market here in Dallas, we haven't done contingency offers in a long time. I mean, every once in a while, but it's really, really, really difficult to get a contingency offer accepted in this market. Now, because the market is softening and we have a lot more listings now than we had a year ago, 2 years ago, we might see more home sellers get more comfortable with the concept of looking at a contingent offer, but the contingent offer would probably need to be up here where the buyer's house is already on the market under contract through the inspection period before a seller would even, in Texas, we don't know her anymore. Yeah, we don't know her being contingent offers. But because the market is changing in Texas, Ashley, I would not be surprised as we move forward if we don't see a little bit more contingent offers and sellers considering contingent offers, because as the market softens, I think to get higher price, a higher contract price, a higher sales price, some sellers may consider taking the risk because that seller's also going to tax that buyer in asking for a higher price. So I hope that answered your question, Rodrigo. You usually host with another agent, at least one other agent, Quack. If I was having 30 to 40 people through, holy smokes, I'd need a lot of people there in the home. Them all. Rodrigo, co-listing. For you, I think co-listing is absolutely fantastic because I think it's going to be difficult for you being in the business for literally 1 or 2 weeks now. I can tell because you're on here, you've been on this live for 30 minutes, you're trying hard to learn about the business, which is fantastic. It's already a great sign. But in my opinion, it's going to be very, very hard to give a full service to a home seller right now, that because you just don't know all the ins and outs of the business. You don't know the ins and outs of negotiating these offers. So I think if you find someone in your office that's willing to co-list these listings with you, with the understanding that you're not giving them the listing, you don't want a referral fee, you want to be involved in every single process. It's like I was telling you 15, 20 minutes ago about being involved in that meeting between the lender and your new home buyer. I want you in every meeting that your co-lister has with the home seller. I want you involved with every negotiation. So if you can find someone in your office that's willing to basically you're their assistant for that listing. I think that it's a great way to go. You're obviously not going to make as much, but you're going to be doing that listing lead that you have. You're going to be doing them a great service. And you're going to learn a lot, and it's more important to learn than to make every single penny you can on that lead. I hope I answered that question. I like to keep it in San Jose, but I want to expand. That's why I want to start hosting. Oh, so you're going to host open houses outside of San Jose. Quack, I'm not holding a mic, but if it was, I'd be saying, Quack, is the mic on? I want to make sure you can hear me, Quack. If you're getting 30 to 40 groups of people through your open houses, there is no reason to expand your territory. You're doing great in San Jose. Just keep holding open houses. I promise. Texas, been a stay-at-home. Where in Texas? I'm in Dallas. Where are you, Abby? Hi, Tasha. Good morning. Thanks for joining. Do you feel like becoming a realtor is a good direction to go? Abby, great question. Abby, where are you? What market are you in? Amarillo. Okay. I'm big in I mean, I'm not big anywhere. I'm going to say I'm small, but I'm small in Texas because, Abby, I had a couple of people that Rodrigo may still be here. I don't know if Esme's still here, but I have a couple of agents from Midland, Odessa watching, and now Amarillo. I love my West Texas peeps. Real estate, and I answered this question actually in this live, and Abby, I hope you'll follow the channel and then go look at the videos because I do a bunch of videos for new agents. Good morning, Sherry Love. Real estate's a great business. It's a little difficult to be a full service realtor part-time, but it's not impossible. Many agents have become successful being thanks for the follow, Abby. I've trained agents for over 3 decades, and I've had, I don't know, probably over 100 people in my classes where they are a stay-at-home parent, whether a mom or a dad, and they've started it part-time, and I bless them. And I think it's a lot of hard work. I think it's really difficult to give full service part-time, but again, learn everything there is you can. I think Rodrigo is on the right track though, and I'm not saying it's the only way to do it, but I think partnering up with another agent and so that there is a full-time agent that's always available for whatever home buyer or home seller you're working with. I think that's the way to do right by any leads. If you get into real estate and you're doing it part-time, I don't think you should be part-time for those leads. I think you should partner with another agent in your office so that there's always a full-time agent for those leads. I think it's very difficult to give what needs to be given to a home buyer and a home seller if you're not available 112 waking hours a week. But ask me more specific questions, Abby, if you can, because I want to answer. I know that's sort of a 30,000 foot answer. And Rodrigo, and if Esme's still here, and Abby, I want to teach a class out in West Texas. Abby, Esme, Rodrigo, if I teach a continuing education, good morning, Gary. If I teach a class out in West Texas, are you guys going to show up? That's my question. If I do an open house class out in West Texas, will you 3 folks show up and have a coffee with me while we talk about open houses or something? Abby says, looking for a job change, working part-time, it was just getting back into working. Yeah, real estate is not easy to do part-time. Rodrigo will show up. I love it. And Esme will show up. I got 2 people. It might be roadshow to West Texas. It won't be for 2 weeks. My dance card is pretty full for the next couple of months, but I'd love to get out to West Texas. So Rodrigo, Abby would show up. It's a game plan. So you guys have to talk to your offices though. You have to get one of them to host the open house and the class, and it's a continuing education class. So everyone gets MCE credit. And if you guys follow, there's a link tree on my bio in the TikTok, and there's a newsletter that I put out every week. And if you join the newsletter, it talks about all the classes that I teach, mandatory continuing education here in Texas. And if you're watching today and you're not in Texas, you don't worry about the continuing education part, but let's get out to West Texas and do an MCE class because I'd love to meet y'all. And you got a dog. Yes, I do. A mix. Being more quiet than usual downstairs, which means probably getting into something. Same as my kids. Good morning. I'm going to mispronounce tonight. Miss White. Good morning. I would love to know a little bit about real estate in Tennessee. How do I handle the objection where clients compare you to a discount or veteran agent? Quack, what a fantastic question. There's no such thing as a discount, of course, because commissions aren't set, right? So this is the most important thing to remember. In regards to a home seller, I'm going to assume you're talking about talking to a potential home seller. Do I cold call or expireds or FSBOs? Someone's going to help me remember your question, Hunter, because when I first got into the business Quack, I'm going to answer your question, I promise. When I first got into the business 33 years ago, the only thing I did every day, all day, was for sale by owners. Before COVID, lots of expireds and canceled. So yes, I don't do it today, but I've done a ton. I'm happy to talk about that. If you have a bunch in Tennessee, I might be your guy to be able to help you move some pegs forward. I'm going to answer Quack's question, and if I lose you, Hunter, please follow the channel. I do have videos in there, not necessarily about for sale by owners, but I want to answer that question. So Quack, how do you talk about, let's not talk about discount, but let's say you're talking to a home seller and they say something like, thanks for following, Hunter. Let's say they say something like, why should I pay you X% when I interviewed another agent who will do it for 1% less? Let's just talk about that. First of all, I don't want you to look at it as an objection because it is an objection. I'm not trying to be semantical now, but I want you to look at it from trying to create value for that home seller. I'm going to go all over the place, but I'm going to answer your question directly shortly. The home seller, hot take here, an unpopular opinion, the home seller does not care what the commission rate is. Quack, I stopped looking at the comments and I looked up the camera. The home seller does not, I've been doing this 33 and a half years, over 33 years. The home seller does not care what the commission is. Do you know what they care about, Quack? We're going to be a little interactive here. They don't care about your commission. They don't care about the commission rate. Quack, what do they care about? And if Hunter can tell me from Tennessee, thanks Rodrigo for the like. If Hunter from Tennessee can tell me what a home seller, anyone can sell any listing. Rodrigo, my friend, has had his license for 1 week. He can sell the listing. Anyone can sell the listing. Selling a home is not difficult. What does the seller want? Yes, they want it sold. I'm not trying to be a smart aleck. Yes, they want the home sold, but anyone can sell it. What does the home seller want? Give you one more guess, Quack, then I'll let you off the hook and I'll tell you. Unless Hunter's going to tell me. Unless Rodrigo knows. Good morning, Christine. Unless Christine knows. Yes, Rodrigo. Out there on the oil fields, part-time, not even, he or she, the home seller wants the highest net. Not the most money. Most money sort of sounds like the highest sales price. But if there's a $500,000 house and there's one commission that's 3%, 500,000, 3%, 15,000, the net is 585, and then another agent can sell it for 500,000 but only charges 1%, 500,000, 1%, 5,000, net 495. I'm sorry, 500,000 sales, 3%, 485 is the net. 500,000 sale, 1%, $5,000 commission, 495. They don't want the most money, they want the highest net. Most money, maybe you're thinking sales price, but you may have said it. So good morning, Shauna from, we got more Texans, I love it. I'm in Texas, I'm in Dallas. So the home sellers want the highest net. So that's part one of what do I say when they say someone else will list it for a lower commission. So the misconception that a lot of, probably most home sellers have, and here's the scary part, it's a misconception that a lot of realtors have, is this: the lower the commission, the higher the net. I want to go slow for the 6 people watching. The misconception that most home sellers have and a lot of realtors have is this: the lower the listing, the lower the listing commission, the higher the net. That is only true if everything is equal. And here's a spoiler alert from an old gray-haired grandfather that's been doing this for 33 years. Everything is not equal. Let me ask you a question, Kwok. Rodrigo, I'm not picking on you. Rodrigo, you know I love you. I'm going to do anything I can to help you be successful in real estate, but I'm going to use you as my example. Rodrigo, who's watching, he's out in West Texas. He's just got his license 2 weeks ago. If Rodrigo lists a home for $500,000 in universe number 1, and I list that exact same home for $500,000 in universe number 2, and everything is the same in each of the universes, except over here, Rodrigo, having done the business for 1 week and is over here, and I'm over here. If you had to bet, Kwok, who is going to sell that home for a higher sales price? Me after 33 years of doing this, or Rodrigo after 2 weeks of doing this? Now, Rodrigo, he's on this live. He's trying to learn. He's very aggressive. He has a thirst for knowledge. Hardworking young man, I'm guessing. But he hasn't sold almost 1,500 homes like I have. Spoiler alert, I am probably going to sell that home for a higher price, because there are two things that I think, there are two things that will dictate what a home sells for: the ability of the listing agent to aggressively market the property, and the ability of the agent to aggressively negotiate the offers. And I've just been doing it 33 years longer than Rodrigo in this case. So back to your question. What do I say to a home seller when they're talking about a discount broker or a realtor willing to do it for less commission? You have to go step by step. First of all, realize that what the seller thinks is the lower the commission, the more money they're going to make when the house closes, which isn't true. Understand that they think that the lower the commission, the higher the net, but that's not true. Because depending on who they hire, regardless of commission, is going to have a much bigger impact, in my experience, my opinion, but I'm going to answer your question. Has a much bigger impact on what a seller will net in the sale of the home. And then what you have to do, Kwok, is you have to answer this person's question, you have to demonstrate why it is that what you do when you market a home and when you demonstrate your track record of marketing properties and negotiating contracts, you have to show that seller why you think they will net more for you at X% commission than that other agent who's willing to do it for 1 or 2 or 0.5% less. So you don't overcome the objection. You just have to demonstrate the value of your services, and you have to hopefully demonstrate to that home seller why your services will net them more money than some other realtor at a lower commission. FIGOG asked, but how are you going to prove that? Obviously, it's difficult because there's never going to be an A/B test where, like in my hypothetical that I gave 5 minutes ago at the beginning of answering this question, where I said, okay, over here, this home seller is going to list their home in universe 1 with this agent at, let's just throw in numbers. This seller is going to list their home in universe 1 for $500,000 with a listing commission of 1%. And in an alternate universe where everything is the same seller is going to list their home for $500,000 with a different agent at 2%. And let's see what happens if the same buyer represented by the same buyer's agent makes the same offer, if it's going to end up at the same net to the seller. We're never going to have an A/B testing, so it's difficult to ever prove it. But the fact of the matter is, for example, and this channel is not about talking about me and my experience. This channel is about helping other agents scale up their business. Okay, so my answer at this point is going to talk a little bit about me, but if you've been on this live for any length of time, or if you look at any of my videos, this isn't about patting myself on the back, but I'm going to try to answer your question as best I can. Thanks for liking the live, D. And oh, thank you for following the channel. I'm going to exaggerate to prove a point. If someone is listing their home in my market, I'm in Dallas, Texas, for $1 million, and let's say, for example, I'm going to charge, let's not talk about the buyer commission, let's just talk about the listing side commission. If I'm going to, let's say my commission is a 3% commission, and they list their home for $1 million, and let's say their alternative is to list their home for $1 million with a different agent at a 2% listing commission. I'm not talking about any buyer commission. So mine is a 3% commission on $1 million. This agent is a 2% commission. The difference is 1%, which is $10,000. I have been doing this for over 33 years. I have represented close to 1,500 families buying, selling, investing, and leasing property in this time. I have been a Texas Real Estate Commission approved real estate instructor for over 2 decades. I am invited by other real estate companies to train their agents how to list properties, do home buyer interviews, home seller interviews, how to use a financial calculator, how to negotiate contracts. I am a legal and ethics instructor. I believe that all things being equal, that my ability to market a home and my ability, more importantly, to negotiate offers is more than $10,000 better than that agent at 2%. I can never prove it because there's no way to A/B test it, but I got a track record. So difficult for me to prove it. To answer your question, how can I prove it? But I don't know that anyone could say me over here at 3% and let's say a brand new agent over here at 1%. I'm exaggerating to prove the point. Does anyone think that new agent can negotiate better than any other realtor that's been doing it for 10 years or 15 or 20 years? I hope I answered the question. What are my thoughts on fixed fee or bonus commission for a certain price attainment? Oh, okay. So I don't know that I understood the entire question, but so, and I can't pronounce it because it's just a bunch of letters. Are you still watching? The person that asked, how do I feel about a certain price attainment? Are you still watching? Because if you're watching, I want to answer. If you're not watching, I'm going to skip the question. Good morning, PM. Oh, thanks for following, PM. I appreciate that. Thanks, Dust Rocker, for joining. Did the person that asked me about the certain price attainment, are they still? Thanks, Quack. I hope I answered. Oh, you are still watching. Good. Quack, I'm very happy to take this offline and talk to you on the phone or get on a Zoom so that I can answer and sort of demonstrate paper and pencil a little bit more, because we definitely come across that issue in listing presentation. I'd come across that in listing presentations. A little hard on a live without a pencil and paper to go through it. But Quack, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to jump on the phone or a Zoom with you and talk about it more. Compensation that makes sense. There's lots of compensation models that make sense. Because there are other companies that have different compensation models, like Redfin. Who knows where they're going to be in a year? Redfin's having some issues, but Redfin was put together as a different compensation model where it's not commission based as much as it is you have a bunch of salaried licensed people. So there are definitely other models. And I don't know what makes sense means. I hope that the majority of the people, hi Madeline, hi Kevin, I hope that the majority of the 1,500 people that have worked with me have felt that I gave great value for whatever commission we had agreed on at the time. But here's the amazing part, FLG, is that I'm not being a smart aleck. No one's forced to pay any commission. No one has to use a realtor to buy or sell a home. There's other ways to get around it. In my opinion, obviously I'm biased being a realtor. Good morning, Nathar. After doing this for 33 years, I don't think someone selling their home by themselves might be best equipped to net the most amount of money, but I absolutely think someone can buy a home by themselves, and I definitely think someone can sell a home by themselves. The selling the home is not the hard part. Netting the most amount of money is a little bit more, is where the ground meets the pavement. Anyway, that's where the hard part is. Kimberly, student here, do you need a degree or experience to be an estate agent? If you're talking about a real estate agent, you need to have a certain amount of hours of real estate education. It can be from there are courses in college you can take that apply, good morning, Alyssa, that apply towards your license, but every state's going to be a little different. Easy to find on Google. And Kwok, if you're still watching, let's see, you've done 6 deals in your first year. Do you run into that objection a lot on listing in listing presentations? I imagine in a big city like San Jose, there are all sorts of different companies and different commission compensation plans, listing commissions. I bet you run into that conversation a lot when you're talking with home sellers. Yeah, it has to be, especially out in California where the home prices are so high. I would guess that it comes up a bunch. My friend from Tennessee, good morning, Angie. Thanks for joining. My friend from Tennessee, are you still here? I promised to talk about for sale by owners and canceled, but you may have left by now. I don't want to keep clicking the screen. Hunter, I think your name was Hunter. Hunter, are you still watching? What would you do to prepare when you talk to an expired listing or FSBO? Okay, Kwok, look at that. I'm about to push the end button and then you bring up the big topic. Okay, for sale by owners or expired listings. Same thing, it's the same concept sort of as talking to a home seller that wants to talk about discounting commissions or comparing you, good morning, Nicole, or comparing you to another agent that has a lower commission. You have to be prepared to not only talk about why their home didn't sell, spoiler alert, there's only 2 things that keep any home from getting sold. It's either the price or it's the listing agent, right? So only 2 things keep any home from getting sold. It doesn't matter what color the carpet is. It doesn't matter if it backs to the 101 freeway. At some price, every listing is gonna sell. So if it hasn't sold, it's either the list price or something the listing agent is or isn't doing. So you need to be prepared to figure out what the home seller is trying to accomplish. It's not always just to get the home sold. Sometimes it's a timing issue. Sometimes they want to net a certain amount of money. So you want to figure out what their wants and needs are, what their expectations are of you and the process of listing. You definitely want to go through the photos online. If there's a 3D tour, you want to go through and try to figure out, are there things that the home seller can do to the home, not expensive, you don't want to spend a ton of money, but are there things that is there money the home seller can spend that will increase the chances that the home will sell, that they will get all or more of that money back? Or are there things about that home that are sort of like a buyer red flag that would keep the average buyer in the San Jose area from buying the home? Is the roof old? Is there a foundation issue? Whatever it may be. So you want to try to have some solutions before you contact those people. But here's the most important thing, Kwok. Are you ready? Especially, I'm in a big market like yours. I'm in Dallas. Hundreds of real estate agents send postcards and mailers to for sale by owners, expireds, and canceled listings. Hundreds and hundreds of agents call expired, canceled, and for sale by owner listings. But do you want to know what almost no agents do in my market and probably almost no agents do in your market? They don't knock on the door. So if you want to be successful in talking with for sale by owners, expireds, and canceled, door knock. You got it. You were typing as I was saying. Knock on the door, because if agents are calling or sending stuff, but they're not knocking on the door. They're either scared, they're lazy, they're afraid, they don't know what to do. You want to be the agent that's creating value. So knock on the door, be ready to figure out what the wants, needs, and expectations are of that home seller. Come with solutions, whether, like I said, is there something in the photography that stood out to you that could be a big hindrance to someone wanting to make an offer? And be prepared for that conversation about commissions and nets, and have your marketing materials ready, and make sure you have a presentation on why your marketing is going to be better than that last agent had. So you have to figure out what that other agent did and didn't do, and why your services are going to be better than that other agent. And then again, the biggest thing is show up. You got to knock on the door. Don't send crap. Don't call them on the phone. There's a do not call list, but there's not a do not knock list. Yes, there's a no trespassing. Don't knock if it says no trespassing, but there is not a do not knock list. Hope that helps. I think it's probably time to start wrapping up. Rodrigo, Esme, my West Texas friend, Abby, if you're still on, my West Texas friends, y'all may already be off. I don't know because I don't see all the people. I just see a number. Quack, my San Jose friend, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I hope I helped you guys move a peg forward somewhere in your real estate business. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Send me a text, send me an email. I'm Googleable, I promise. Any of my videos have my name on there. I don't go out of my way to talk about my real estate company. I'm with a big national brokerage, but it's not about my national brokerage. I am a brokerage-free training video session. Regardless of anyone's brokerage, I'm here to try to help you and your business get even better. So Esme, Quack, Rodrigo, and Abby, anyone else watching, thanks so much. Hope you have a great weekend. Please let me know if there's anything else I can do to help. You all have a great time. Bye now.